She sold our home. I bought it back. My name is Darren Harper. I'm 40, a real estate agent in Portland. I'm quiet, reserved, the one who listens, never confronts. I value hard work, family, and trust. When people betray me, I don't argue. I stay silent. I remember everything. The old Victorian on Maple Street was more than a house. It was the heartbeat of my childhood. Mara and I grew up there, our laughter echoing through its creaky halls, the smell of Mom's cedar chest and Dad's coffee filling the air. I was the quiet one, always watching, while Mara, 2 years younger, filled the rooms with her chatter. We'd race through the backyard, carve our initials into the oak tree, and sit on the porch swing, dreaming of futures we thought we'd share. The house held us, held our parents' love, held every Christmas morning and late-night story, even after they were gone. As a real estate agent, I'd seen countless homes in Portland, but none felt like ours. I'd drive by Maple Street on my way to closings, the house's faded blue paint and wraparound porch pulling at me. Mara and I inherited it after Mom passed, Dad's heart attack already years behind us. We agreed to keep it, a promise whispered at her grave, to honor the family it held. I'd call Mara, reminiscing about the attic where we'd hidden as kids, and she'd laugh, her voice warm, saying, "We'll never let it go, Darren." I believed her, trusted her, my sister, my last tie to that house. I worked long hours, building a name in real estate, my quiet demeanor earning clients' trust. But every deal, every commission was for that house, to maintain it, to keep its memories alive. I'd walk its floors on weekends, fixing creaky boards, polishing the banister, picturing Mom's smile, Dad's voice. Mara visited less, her life busier with her art gallery, but I didn't mind. I sent her updates, photos of the garden I'd replanted, and she'd reply with heart emojis, her words full of nostalgia. "This is home," my inner voice said, warm with pride. "This is ours." I didn't see the cracks forming. I didn't question Mara's rush calls, her vague excuses about busy seasons. I thought of our parents, their trust in us to keep the house, and assumed Mara felt the same. She's family, I told myself, ignoring the way her voice tightened when I mentioned repairs or taxes. I was too busy preserving our past, too busy believing in our shared promise. I didn't know she was planning something else, something that would shatter the foundation of everything I held dear. But when the truth came, I remembered every call, every laugh, every moment I thought we were one. The Portland rain tapped against my office window, a steady rhythm that matched the unease settling in my chest. Mara's calls had grown shorter. Her voice clipped when I mentioned the house on Maple Street. "It's fine, Darren," she'd say, her tone sharp, like she was dodging a question I hadn't asked. She'd always been the lively one, her art gallery keeping her busy, but now her excuses felt rehearsed, client meetings, tax season, just swamped. I'd nod over the phone, my real estate files open, telling myself she was just stressed. But my mind, trained to spot patterns in contracts and clients, started marking her words, her silences. I'd drive by the house after work, its Victorian silhouette a comfort against the gray sky. I'd text Mara photos, a new coat of paint on the porch, the oak tree's leaves turning gold, expecting her usual heart emojis. Instead, she'd reply with, "Looks nice," or "Not at all." Once, I asked about splitting maintenance costs, and she hesitated, mumbling about financial plans before changing the subject. I sat in my car, staring at the house, the porch swing still. She's just busy, I thought, my fingers tightening on the wheel. Family doesn't break promises. But the cracks were there. At a rare dinner, Mara barely looked up from her phone, her laughter forced when I mentioned our childhood games in the attic. She waved off my questions about the house, saying, "We'll figure it out," her eyes darting away. I noticed a new necklace, expensive, not her usual style, and when I asked, she shrugged, saying a gift. I didn't push. I never did. But my mind logged it. The necklace, her evasiveness, the way she avoided Mom's old cedar chest when I brought it up. Something's off, my inner voice whispered, no longer warm but alert, like a compass needle twitching. I kept visiting the house, polishing banisters, checking the roof, my hand steady as I worked. Mara stopped coming, her absence louder than her excuses. I found a bank statement in her name of the house, tucked in a drawer, showing withdrawals I didn't recognize. Large sums, no explanation. I held it, my pulse ticking faster, but didn't call her. She's your sister, I told myself, folding the paper away. She wouldn't hide anything big. But my inner voice was sharper now, cataloging every vague reply, every missed call, every sign she was pulling away from our shared past. In my apartment, the city's hum a faint backdrop. I sat with a coffee, the photo of our parents on my desk. Their trust in us to keep the house felt heavier now. Mara's distance a shadow over their memory. I didn't confront her. I didn't need to yet. I watched, my mind a ledger, recording every word, every glance, every moment she thought I'd missed. She thinks you're blind, my inner voice said, cold and steady. But you see, I wasn't ready to act, but I was starting to plan. The call came on a rainy Portland afternoon, the kind where the sky feels like it's pressing down. I was at my office, reviewing a client's offer, when Mara's name lit up my phone. Her voice was rushed, almost casual, as she said, "The house sold, Darren. Had to cover some debts." My fingers froze on the contract, the words sinking in like a blade. The Victorian on Maple Street. Our childhood, our parents' legacy, the home we'd sworn to keep, was gone, sold without a word to me. I sat back, the office hum fading, my pulse steady but heavy, like a drum in a storm. I didn't shout. I asked, "Why didn't you tell me?" My voice was calm, measured, the way it always was. Mara's excuse was flimsy. It happened fast, creditors were pressing, but her tone was off, like she'd rehearsed it. I thought of our parents' graves, the promise we'd made, the oak tree with our initials. She'd sold it all, erased our history without a glance. The betrayal wasn't just the sale. It was the secrecy, the ease with which she broke our bond. She didn't even ask, my inner voice said, cold and sharp, like glass underfoot. I drove to Maple Street that evening, the sold sign a punch to the gut. The porch swing hung still, the windows dark, the house already feeling like someone else's. I stood in the rain, my coat soaked, picturing Mom's cedar chest, Dad's coffee mugs, the attic where Mara and I had laughed. She'd taken that from me, from us, for debts I didn't believe existed. I found the sale records later, public but hidden from me, her signature alone on the deed. My name, half owner, was nowhere. She erased you, my inner voice whispered, hard as stone. I didn't call her back. I didn't storm her gallery or demand answers. I went home, my apartment silent except for the city's hum, and sat with the photo of our parents. Their trust in us, in me, felt like a weight I'd failed to carry. But I wasn't failing. Not yet. I pulled up Mara's bank statement from the drawer, the one I'd found, and cross-checked it. Large withdrawals, transfers to accounts I didn't know, all before the sale. She lied, my inner voice said, no longer questioning but certain. And you'll remember. The hurt was quiet, a deep ache that settled in my bones, but didn't break me. I stood by my window, Portland's lights blurring in the rain, and let the truth sink in. Mara thought I'd accept it, move on, let her betrayal fade. She was wrong. You see it all, my inner voice murmured, steady and unyielding. Every lie, every choice. I didn't need to fight yet. I needed only what I'd always had, patience, precision, and the memory of a home she thought she'd stolen forever. The Portland rain fell harder after Mara's call, as if the city itself mourned the loss of our home. I sat in my apartment, the sold sign on Maple Street burned into my mind, its image sharper than the photo of our parents on my desk. I didn't call Mara back or storm her gallery. I kept working, showing houses to clients, my smile practiced, my voice steady as I described square footage and market trends. Colleagues nodded, clients trusted me, none seeing the ache that clung to me like damp air. Mara's betrayal, the sale of our family's heart without a word, cut deeper than I could say, but I didn't let it show. Mara pulled away further, her text sparse, her voice absent. When we spoke, she was all surface, talk of her gallery, her busy life, no mention of the house or her lies about debts. I saw her once at a cafe, laughing with art buyers, her new necklace glinting, her ease a stark contrast to my grief. I stood across the street, unnoticed, my coat blending with the gray crowd. She didn't see me, didn't know I was watching, cataloging her every move, her smile, her casual dismissal of her shared past. She thinks you're done, my inner voice said, no longer soft but steady, like a pulse gaining strength. Nights were heavier. Alone, I'd sit with a coffee. Cold now. The city's a faint echo through my window. I'd trace the edges of our parents' photo, their smiles a reminder of the home we'd sworn to keep. The attic, the oak tree, Mom's cedar chest, they were gone, sold by Mara's hand, her signature erasing mine. The pain wasn't loud. It was a quiet weight, settling in my chest, sharpening my thoughts. I didn't cry or rage. I sat still, letting the hurt carve a space for something new, something deliberate. She took your home, my inner voice whispered, cold and clear. But not your resolve. I kept up appearances. To clients, I was Darren, the reliable agent, closing deals with quiet precision. To Mara, I was the brother who didn't push, who answered her vague texts with brief replies, never hinting at the storm inside. I drove by Maple Street again, the house dark, its new owners a mystery. Each visit fueled my resolve, not to confront, but to watch, to wait. I noted Mara's patterns, her gallery hours, her new circle, her silence about the sale. She thinks you'll let it go, my inner voice said, unyielding. She's wrong. In the stillness, I found clarity. My isolation wasn't weakness, it was a vantage point. Every lie, every evasion, every moment Mara thought I'd forgotten was a thread I held, ready to weave into something she'd never expect. I didn't need to shout or fight. I needed her blindness, her belief that I'd fade. You're not broken, Darren, my inner voice murmured, sharp as a blade. You're building. I stood by my window, Portland's light steady, and let the plan take root, a quiet promise to reclaim what was mine. The Portland rain had stopped, but my apartment felt like a fortress, its walls holding the blueprint of my resolve. Mara's betrayal, the sale of our family home, our parents' legacy, had carved a wound, but also sharpened my focus. As a real estate agent, I knew how to read contracts, track transactions, uncover truths hidden in fine print. That knowledge became my weapon. I didn't confront Mara or demand answers. I planned, my desk a map of notes, emails, and records, each piece a step toward taking back what she'd stolen. She thinks you're broken, my inner voice said, cold and steady. You're building. I started with the sale records. Using my industry access, I pulled the deed transfer from Maple Street. Finding Mara's signature alone, my half-ownership erased. The buyer was a holding company, a front I recognized from shady deals. I dug deeper, cross-referencing Mara's bank statements, those large withdrawals I'd found, against public records. They led to offshore accounts, payments masked as consulting fees. Mara hadn't sold for debts. She profited, her gallery's struggles a lie. I saved every document, my laptop's glow casting shadows, my hand steady as I archived her deceit. My plan wasn't chaos. It was surgical. I knew the buyer's agent, a contact from years of deals, and accessed their escrow files through a discreet favor. The sale had irregularities, undisclosed liens, rushed paperwork. Mara's haste leaving cracks I could exploit. I drafted anonymous tips, not sent yet, each word chosen to raise questions without implicating me. One for the buyer's attorney, hinting at title disputes. Another for the county assessor, flagging procedural errors. She thinks it's over, my inner voice whispered, sharp as a blade. You're rewriting the ending. I mapped Mara's world, her gallery partners, her new circle, the investors she'd charmed with her windfall. I noted their names, their stakes, their trust in her. My real estate network gave me leverage, a lender who'd financed the sale, a surveyor who'd overlooked Mara's shortcuts. Every connection was a thread, and I wove them carefully, my burner phone ready for untraceable calls. I didn't rush. Each move was measured, my mind a ledger of her lies, the vague calls, the necklace, the debts that never existed. At work, I was Darren, the quiet agent, closing deals with a nod and a smile. Mara texted once, breezy, about her gallery's big plans, no mention of the house. I replied briefly, keeping her unsuspecting. She thinks you've let it go, my inner voice said, unyielding. That's her mistake. In my apartment, Portland's lights flickering outside, I reviewed my evidence, deeds, transfers, her financial trail. The plan was taking shape, not for vengeance, but for reclamation, a way to restore the home she thought she'd erased. I wasn't angry. I was precise, patient, and ready. The plan I'd woven in silence was ready for its first move, a calculated spark to unsettle Mara's victory. My evidence, the irregular deed, Mara's hidden profits, the holding company's shady front, sat ready on my laptop, a quiet arsenal. I chose the buyer's attorney, a meticulous woman I'd worked with on past deals, as my first target. From a burner email, sent through a Portland library's Wi-Fi, I forwarded a tip. A scanned document highlighting a lien Mara hadn't disclosed, paired with a vague note about title concerns. No accusations, just facts, sharp enough to draw blood. I hit send, my face calm, the city's morning hum outside my car window. The ripples spread by noon. I overheard a colleague mention a heated call at the title company, the holding company's agent scrambling to verify the sale. Mara's gallery was quiet when I drove by, her usual bustle replaced by a tense phone call, her hand gripping her phone too tightly. She didn't know I was watching, parked across the street, my coat blending with the gray drizzle. Her confidence, built on the sales profits, was cracking, and she couldn't trace it to me. You thought it was yours, my inner voice said, cold and steady, like a blade finding its mark. I didn't stop there. A second tip went to the county assessor's office, sent from another untraceable account, flagging procedural errors in the sales paperwork. Mara's rushed signature, the missing co-owner consent. The assessor's inquiry landed the next day, a formal letter to the buyer that I knew would stall their plans. Mara texted me, her tone clipped. Some issue with the house sale. You hear anything? I replied, no, you. Keeping her in the dark, my words a mirror of her lies. She's starting to feel it, my inner voice murmured, sharp with quiet triumph. No one suspected me. I was Darren, the reserved agent, showing homes with a nod and a smile. At work, I fielded client calls, my desk orderly, my face unreadable. Mara's world, though, was tilting. Her gallery investors whispered about complications, her new necklace absent as she faced mounting questions. I watched from a distance, noting her late nights at the gallery, her strained smile at a client event I passed by. They think it's chance, my inner voice said, relishing the precision. But it's you. In my apartment, Portland's lights flickering beyond the window, I updated my notes, marking the attorney's response, the assessor's inquiry. The plan was a machine, its gears turning without a sound. Mara's confidence, once a shield, was fraying, and she didn't know why. You sold our home, my inner voice whispered, calm and final. Now it's coming back. I sipped my coffee, the city's hum a steady pulse, and prepare the next step, the one that would bring her betrayal full circle. This was just the first maneuver, and I was already seeing the cracks widen. The machine I'd built was ready for its final turn, a silent crescendo to reclaim what Mara stole. My anonymous tips, liens, procedural errors, had stalled the sale of our family home, the buyer's holding company now mired in legal disputes. Using my real estate network, I found a lender willing to back a discreet bid, routed through a shell company I'd set up. I placed the offer, outbidding competitors, my name hidden until the deed was signed. The day of the closing, I drove to Maple Street, the Victorian's porch swing still, and waited for Mara to learn the truth. She thought it was hers, my inner voice said, cold and steady. Now it's mine. The reveal was surgical. I arranged for Mara to meet the buyer's agent at the house, a formality to finalize paperwork. I stood in the living room, Mom's cedar chest behind me, when Mara walked in, her face bright with the confidence of her prophet. Darren, she stammered, seeing me, her eyes darting to the agent, then the deed in my hand. I'm the buyer, I said, my voice calm, unyielding. Her smile froze, the truth sinking in. She'd sold our legacy, and I'd taken it back. You erased me, my inner voice whispered, sharp as glass. I rewrote the story. Her world unraveled quickly. The gallery investors, already wary from my planted doubts, pulled funding when news of the disputed sale spread. Her debts, the lies she'd fed me, were exposed as personal gains. Offshore accounts I'd tipped off to the IRS through another anonymous email. Friends we'd shared, who believed her charm, turned away, their texts to me full of apologies. Mara stood in the house, her voice trembling, begging to explain, but I just nodded, my face a mask. You sold our past, my inner voice said, steady and satisfied. I reclaimed our future. I didn't gloat. I didn't need to. The agent handed me the keys, and Mara left, her steps heavy, her necklace gone, her confidence shattered. The house was mine again, its creaky halls, an oak tree waiting for me to restore them. I stood on the porch, Portland's drizzle soft against my face, the sold sign gone. My plan had worked. Not with shouts, but with precision, each move a thread pulling her deception apart. The city's hum felt lighter now, the weight of betrayal lifted by the truth I'd shaped. In my new office, our old living room, I set up my desk, the photo of our parents watching. Mara's name faded from Portland's art scene, her gallery shuttered, her lies exposed. You ended it, Darren, my inner voice murmured, calm and final. You brought it home. I didn't need her apologies or her tears. I had the house, our legacy, and the quiet justice of knowing I'd outplayed her at her own game. The keys in my hand were heavy, not with loss, but with purpose restored. The Victorian on Maple Street was mine again, its creaky halls and wraparound porch alive with the hum of memory. I moved in the day after the closing, my parents' photo the first thing on the mantel, their smiles a quiet anchor. I sanded the banister, repainted the faded blue exterior, and replanted Mom's garden, each act a stitch pulling our legacy back together. Portland's rain fell softly outside, but inside, the house felt warm, whole, as if it had been waiting for me. My real estate work continued, my reputation stronger for the deals I'd closed, but this house, our home, was my center, reclaimed from Mara's betrayal. Mara was gone from my life, her gallery shuttered, her name a whisper in Portland's art scene. The IRS audit I'd tipped off had unraveled her finances, her debts exposed as lies. Friends who'd once admired her charm now called me, their voices heavy with regret for siding with her. I didn't gloat. I didn't need their apologies. I stood in the attic, where Mara and I had carved our initials as kids, and felt the weight of her betrayal lift, replaced by a quiet pride. You brought it back, my inner voice said, steady and clear, like a key turning in a lock. I work from the house now, my office in the old dining room. Client files spread, where Mom's coffee mugs once sat. The oak tree in the yard stood tall, its leaves catching the light, and I'd sit on the porch swing at dusk, the city's hum a soft backdrop. I thought of the man I'd been, trusting, blind to Mara's lies, believing our promise was unbreakable. Her sale of our home had shattered that man, but it forged someone new, sharper, patient, unafraid to act. You didn't win, my inner voice whispered, calm and final. You reclaimed. I called my parents' old friends, inviting them to see the house restored, their stories of Mom and Dad filling the rooms again. They didn't know the full story, didn't need to. The photo on the mantel was enough, their trust in me honored, not by vengeance, but by the home I'd saved. Mara sent one email, a halting apology I didn't answer. I didn't need her words. The house spoke louder, its walls holding the truth I'd fought for. Standing on the porch, Portland's lights flickering in the distance, I felt the stillness of a journey complete. The betrayal had been a wound, but my plan, quiet, precise, deliberate, had healed it. You ended it, Darren, my inner voice murmured, soft but unyielding. You made a whole. The house was mine, not just in deed, but in spirit, its memories no longer stolen. I didn't need Mara's regret or the world's applause. I had the keys, the oak tree, the home that held my past and my future, reclaimed in silence.